Often we get stuck in our political corners and throw rocks at each other, but sometimes good people can come together where there is some common ground, work constructively to try and come up with reforms that we know the community desperately want. We know that would relieve people in severe pain and suffering of those symptoms. And one such issue is the issue of medicinal cannabis. We initially, through the cross-parliamentary group on drug policy and law reform with my colleague Melissa Park and Sharman Stone, who's not here today, but both have been terrific allies in that cross-party group to try and advance the cause for reforms in areas just like this. And we together came up with a proposal to look at the issue of medicinal cannabis and what are the obstacles that are preventing us from making people who have really severe symptoms, intractable nausea, chronic neuropathic pain, who are getting benefit from this right now but are unable to get it legally through a controlled, regulated medical framework, which is the way it needs to be delivered. I know Warren Inch has been working very hard on this issue as well, and Warren has been a very strong advocate. Many others, Lisa Singh in Tasmania. We together have come together, we've put our political differences aside and we've said the time's come to give people access to this medication that we know has a proven benefit. So the jury's not out anymore. On this issue, there are a range of conditions where we know people will get benefit, where we know the science has demonstrated very clearly that for things like nausea, where people have chemotherapy, they're not getting relief from first-line agents, that cannabis has the potential to really relieve their suffering and those intractable symptoms. We know when people have neuropathic pain, where conditions like MS, where they get muscle spasms, again, a number of trials repeatedly have demonstrated this medicine gives relief from those symptoms. So the question is, why haven't people been able to get it? Why does somebody, sometimes in their last few months of life, need to go to a backyard dealer, feel like a criminal to get access to medication? And we looked at this very deeply. We looked at the TGA as a model to see whether we could, through the TGA, get some reforms necessary to allow this to proceed. The TGA is just not geared up for a natural substance like medicinal cannabis. It's really a model that relies on a pharmaceutical company sponsoring a drug through that process, and it's just not the right model to deal with a drug like medicinal cannabis. So we looked at international models, we looked at what Canada's been doing, we looked at what the Dutch have done, we've looked at the industry in Israel. And we've come up with a model that we think is world's best practice. It creates a separate expert regulator. It would be a model that deals with the whole chain, right from supply through to dispensing under the authority of a doctor. So in short, what this does is it follows the model we've got with poppies in Tasmania in terms of growing and licensing people to grow cannabis for medicinal purposes. Very tightly regulated, no relationship whatsoever to the illicit drug market. In fact, we think that is a very, very different debate. I want to make that very clear. The issue of medicinal cannabis and recreational cannabis are very separate debates. What we're talking about here is giving people who have got specified medical conditions access to this drug through a doctor. But at the moment, they don't know what they're getting. They have to go to a backyard dealer to get it. This allows Australia to establish an industry where we grow it, in the same way as we grow poppies in Tasmania. It allows us then to have full control over the processing and dispensing of the drug under the authority of a doctor. Now,
OK, we'll leave that there. That was live from Parliament House in Canberra. Green Senator Richard Di Natale heading up a group of MPs there who are pushing for medicinal cannabis to be made available to relieve suffering for people with, for example, multiple sclerosis. They want a new regulator set up to oversee the growth and supply of cannabis for medicinal purposes. Apparently there is a bill that's going to be introduced into the Senate on that issue today.